Chapter 32, Miss Amanda's Memories. My shorts snag on the drain pipe when I climb off the roof and onto the overhanging tree branch. I've climbed up this tree before, but never to this height. The ground far below seems to rise and fall, going in and out of focus, so I stare at the branches, taking one at a time. I finally reach the last branch, hang suspended for a moment, and jump down. My feet hit the ground, and I fall to my knees on the soft, shaded earth. Hearing Mr. Bixley's words over and over in my head, the mess is getting cleaned up as we speak. I sprint for the main gates. As I pass bear country, a man's voice calls after me. "Lex, where are you headed in such a hurry?" Mr. Lee is wearing a suit today, but he still looks like he belongs on safari with his hat on. He finishes a quick order to one of his keepers through his radio and returns the radio to his belt. I don't know what to tell him about Miss Amanda or her things in the woods. "Mr. Lee, do you know where Fisher is?" Another message comes in through his radio, but he lets it go for the moment. "Well, I believe he went to a movie with some baseball friends. Someone's birthday, I think. Fern knows the details if you want to ask her." I nod. First, Fisher wants to go to the Birds of Prey amphitheater alone. Now, he's off with some other friends. It's not like he's never done that before. I know he has friends who don't live at the zoo. It's just that he's never left with them when I felt like he didn't want to be my friend anymore. I take a deep breath, but the air is especially humid, or zoo-like, and I choke on it a little. The zoo is choking me. "Are you okay?" Mr. Lee asks. I wait for the wind to comment, but it says nothing. Maybe it stays quiet to make me nervous. It's working. Maybe something terrible is coming. I force a smile and nod. I'm reminded of my book and the assignment Mrs. Lee gave me. It's not normal to live alone on an island, I mumble to myself, not really meaning for Mr. Lee to hear. But he does hear me, and he bends a little closer. "What do you mean?" "Nothing," I say. "I'm fine." Another call comes in on Mr. Lee's radio, and he reaches for his belt, still giving me a side-eyed look. "Are you sure?" "Yes." I start up the hill away from him. "But will you tell Fisher that I'm looking for him?" I run from Mr. Lee and his radio, and from Roger's secrets, and from Mr. Bixley's mean words. I run out of the main gates, through the parking lot, and into the woods. Something unfamiliar is crashing about in the trees, and at first I think it might be an animal, a very big animal, perhaps an elephant. I wish it were an elephant. But the closer I get to the thumping and the crashing, the less it sounds like an animal, and the more it just sounds like equipment. Large equipment with levers and moving metal hinges. I reach the small clearing with the fallen log, and I see it. A tow truck. They've hitched up Miss Amanda's trailer. A flatbed attached to another large pickup holds all of Miss Amanda's patio furniture, her outdoor table and chairs, large pots that once had plants in them, the broken awning, and they're taking it all away. "No!" I scream, running at the tow truck and the men securing Miss Amanda's trailer. "No, you can't!" One of the men turns to look at me. "What's the matter, little miss?" "Don't call me that," I snap. "Why are you taking her stuff? Where are you taking this?" The man removes his hat and rolls his eyes. "Look, we were hired to do a job. Clear all this away, and if you got a problem with it, you're going to have to take it up with the zoo." "Please," I say, "please, just wait." This can't happen. How will I find Miss Amanda? How will I know if she gets where she needs to go? After I find the Fen fortune, after I return it. I knew I'd have to say goodbye to her, but it can't be now. We aren't finished. What about her stories? This is her life they're towing away. What will happen to her memories? "Please wait," I say again, much softer this time. The wind blows through the trees, but it says nothing to me, like someone quietly listening in on a conversation that's none of their business. A hand touches my shoulder, and I startle around. Mrs. Lee is here. She holds her hand up at the men with the tow truck. "Give us a moment, please," she says to them, and then she turns to me with a look in her eyes that says she's just realized something. "Lexington, have you been spending a lot of time here with these things? Have you seen Amanda Holtz out here?" I swallow hard, thinking of the story Fisher told me about Fern Lee as a little girl and her friend who was a ghost. But as I stand here, not answering, Mrs. Lee seems to have figured out the truth. This, Mrs. Lee says, gesturing to Miss Amanda's old home and her belongings heaped on the flatbed trailer, this can be a dangerous way to spend your time. It will take too much and give you nothing back. It will keep you isolated from the people who care about you. I open my mouth to argue. I've been helping Miss Amanda, or Naya. I thought I was helping them both. How can that be a bad thing? But now I can't put it all into words, and I don't know where to begin. You cannot hold on to a ghost. My breath catches, and I whisper, "Did you let them get rid of her things?" Mrs. Lee sighs and puts one hand to her forehead like she's thinking hard. "No, I didn't, but I heard Frank had called this crew, and I came to check on things. To check on you. It's really unacceptable that Frank didn't take care of this before now. I suspect this is the reason you've gone missing so much lately." My eyes suddenly burn like my tears have turned to acid. Mrs. Lee and the tow truck and the trailer become a blur of brown and silver and gray, as though everyone is behind a curtain of murky water. "I didn't know she was still here, Lexington. I'm so sorry this has affected you, but the only way I know to get out of the time-consuming life with a ghost is to stop visiting them." "Don't let them take it away," I say, my voice airy like the wind. "Why do you need it?" Mrs. Lee's voice is now gentle and soft. "Tell me." "I don't know why I need it. I just can't bear to have all this disappear. I haven't told Miss Amanda what I learned about the passenger train car that used to be the circus gift shop. I haven't told her that Roger may have found something that could be the Fen fortune and Mr. Bixley knows about it. If they tow Miss Amanda's trailer away, will her misplaced spirit have to go with it? I don't know why I need it, I say. I just know that I do. And I turn and run from Mrs. Lee and toward the tow truck. I push past the men and scramble up the ramp to the trailer door. "Hey!" yells one of them. "This is private property." He obviously doesn't know a single thing about this place. He doesn't know me. Miss Amanda and her things were once part of this zoo, and this zoo is my home. And I'm taking Miss Amanda's photo albums. I yank open the trailer door. "Lexington!" Miss Lee calls. I climb inside with one of the tow truck guys lumbering up the ramp behind me. The inside of Miss Amanda's trailer looks nothing like it did when I visited before. The dishes have tumbled from the open cupboards, leaving broken ceramic shards on the floor, and among them the fat little teapot is in pieces. The curtains that hung over the kitchen window now dangle off a partially unhooked curtain rod. Books are scattered everywhere from the bookshelf. I look under the kitchen table and I find the photo albums lying face down on the floor with the pages spread open. "Lexington!" Miss Lee calls from the ramp. "Please calm down and let's talk about this." And then she lowers her voice. "Let me handle this." She seems to be speaking to the tow truck man and is nearing the trailer door. Mrs. Lee has made up her mind against befriending ghosts or helping them, so there's nothing to talk about. Miss Amanda's photo albums are too important, too full of who she was and what mattered to her. They're too full of what happened at the circus with Angus Fenn and Elle and the elephants, and I can't let these things leave on a tow truck to the dump or wherever they're taking it. Miss Amanda's life can't be forgotten like that. I leap over the broken dishes, slam the trailer door shut, and turn the lock. Mrs. Lee calls to me. The tow truck men complain about how this is going to throw off their schedule. I go to the kitchen window. It has a sliding pane, and I slide it open silently, climb onto the table, and escape out my second window for the day. With Miss Amanda's photo albums in one arm, I hang from the window by my other hand for a second. And when I let go, my fingers rake over the window runner, scraping off some skin. It stings like 100 bee stings, but I grab the albums I dropped in my fall and run straight into the trees with the trucks behind me for cover. Don't worry, Miss Amanda. I got your memories. Chapter 33, Leaving. The wind in my face is hot and stifling. It dries the tears that have fallen down my cheeks, leaving tight salt streaks behind. Miss Amanda was already dead when I met her, but it didn't really feel that way until I saw her trailer hitched to that tow truck. Miss Lee and the tow truck men talk over each other as their voices grow faint behind me, and I keep running, deeper and deeper into the wild, untended woods. My arms are wrapped around the photo albums at my chest, slowing me down. I push faster. My leg muscles burn from the effort. My fingers sting where the skin was scraped off on the windowsill. The trees are thick here, and the branches hide the sun like Miss Amanda's pink awning, but green. Shadows loom like ghostly walls in my way, but I run through them. Each one swallows me up for a moment and then spits me out for the next one. My foot lands on a large branch, partially buried underneath the leaves. The other end of the branch sails toward me, its little sharp twigs gouging my bare legs like long nails on a giant witch's hand. I drop to my knees with the photo albums at my chest and roll to my side. Blood drips from the scratches on my legs. I gasp for air in heaving breaths and sit in the weeds and leaves, gathering Miss Amanda's albums into my lap. The wind blows a tree branch, and for a moment I think I see Miss Amanda's flowing scarf out of the corner of my eye, but it's just another shadow. I examine my injured fingers. The skin is scraped off pretty deep on two of them, but the blood is thickened and it's drying. My hand is shaking. I dab my fingers gently on my sock and open the first photo album. I turn the pages slowly, noticing the photos Miss Amanda already showed me and taking in the ones I haven't seen yet. There are photos of circus performers dressed in feathers, in tiny costumes, in long, elegant dresses, in top hats and suits, and in muscle shirts. Other photos show animal trainers and everything from monkeys and dogs to lions and elephants. I wonder what Naya would have said about her circus life if someone could have seen her thoughts back then. I find a picture of the African elephants in a show inside the big circus tent. Their rear hind legs are on the ground, and they balance on them with their front legs in the air and their trunks reaching up high. I've seen Naya do this when she reaches for hay in the baskets hanging from tall poles. I always figured this was natural. Maybe it's what she would do in the wild to get branches from the trees, or maybe it's a learned trick from the circus. But I've definitely seen Jazz do it, and Jazz wasn't ever in a circus. I turn the pages and find more pictures of Angus Fenn and more pictures of the acrobat Elle. I find pictures of them together. She looks at him with big liquid eyes, and in one photo she has her arm linked through his, and he's placed a hand on hers like he wants to keep her close. I keep the page open to that picture of Angus and Elle, and then I open the second album and I find more photos of Miss Amanda. She was very beautiful when she was young. And in every picture, she's wearing an elegant hat or a scarf, but she didn't always wear skirts and dresses. It stands out to me as strong somehow, like she didn't have to look like the fancy circus performers. She also seemed to know her work and how to do it well. And then I turn the page and find a picture that proves that the gift shop was a train car. It's a picture of Miss Amanda standing inside a passenger car gutted of its original seats. I can tell it used to be a passenger car from the 1800s, like the ones in Roger's books, because of the side windows and a raised section down the center of the wooden roof. But this car now has tables lining one side and shelves at the back. An old cash register sits on one of the tables. The tables and shelves are full of funny hats and toys and pictures of circus performers. Miss Amanda is holding up long candy twists on sticks. And she's smiling and has her head tilted slightly to the side in an elegant pose. I tilt my head and try smiling just like that. Then everything goes blurry and I have to wipe my eyes. I wonder if I'll ever see Miss Amanda's ghost again. The photo on the opposite page shows the inside of the office train car. Miss Amanda's desk is on the left with a pile of papers and envelopes and pens. It isn't the desk that catches my eye, though. It's what's sitting on the seat of the desk chair. It looks like a metal box with a lock on it, and it has two letters etched on the top. I raise the album closer to my nose, and I get a better look. The letters are A.F. Angus Fenn. I think this is the box that Miss Amanda hid for Angus. This is the box with a fortune in it. I wish Fisher were here, discovering all of this with me. The zoo is sort of an island for him, too, except Fisher chooses to leave. I stand up and brush myself off. The zoo doesn't feel like my island anymore. It feels more like a cage, and I'm one of the exhibits under Mr. Bixley's rules. It's Mr. Bixley's island now, and he's the one who's had Miss Amanda's things taken away so I couldn't visit her anymore. Why would he do that? Why would he care where I go outside the zoo? I don't think it has to do with radio chatter clogging up the zoo-wide channel to find me. I think Mr. Bixley has talked to Miss Amanda's ghost. She did say that she had business to discuss with Frank Bixley, and she must have told him the missing box had a fortune in it. Maybe Mr. Bixley broke into Roger's shed to get it, and he doesn't want to risk anyone else talking to Miss Amanda and finding out that the money belongs to Eden Fenn. And the best way to keep the fortune secret is to get rid of Miss Amanda's ghost. The only reason someone would do that is if they plan to keep the money all to themselves. I tuck the photo albums under my arm. I need to find Frank Bixley. If he took that box from the train shed, I'm going to find it. I survey the surrounding trees, trying to get some sense of where I am, but the tall zoo structures are hidden by the thick canopy of branches. Maybe I've run away from the perimeter fences instead of parallel to them. I take a few steps, listening to the constant vibrating buzz of the cicadas in the trees. And after a moment, the wind shifts and carries with it the distant whirring of the tires on pavement. And if I follow the sounds, I'll eventually reach the road. Leaves and sticks crunch beneath my tennis shoes, and the cicada buzz feels electric. The most logical place to look for Mr. Bixley, or some place he would hide the box, is in his office above the gift shop. If I head back through the woods, though, I might run into Mrs. Lee. If I follow the road, I might actually see the tow truck and the pickup with the flatbed trailer driving off with Miss Amanda's things. And I'm not sure which is worse, but walking along the road is definitely easier than slogging through the grass that stings the scrapes on my leg. So I trudge in the direction of the whirring tire sounds. The humidity presses down on me until it seems I will shrink under it. The gnat swarms are difficult to see in the shade, and they appear without warning. I swat at them, but some get in my mouth and my nose anyway. And I finally reach a clearing, yet even without the tree branches overhead, I'm still under a large shadow. A great blanket of gray clouds has rolled across the sky and has now covered the sun. With a wide open space now in front of me, I can see the road clearly in the distance. My sweaty palms stick to the photo albums. I rearrange my hold on them to keep my bleeding fingers off the leather, and as I hold them against my chest, I think I can feel the warmth spread through me from the memories inside. I imagine the people and animals in the pictures, including Miss Amanda, all hoping for me to succeed. Find the Fenn fortune. Find it. The faces in the pictures fill my head and are more real to me than any words the wind has ever whispered. I reach the end of the clearing and step onto the sidewalk. A bus is coming up the road on the other side of the street. It growls its way up the hill toward the turnaround point at River Road. Then it'll come back the other way, stopping at the corner of the zoo parking lot where Fisher always catches it. Maybe Fisher is on that bus, coming home from his baseball friend's party. I wonder what it would be like to go to a birthday party. I wonder what it would like to be invited. A bright blue car speeds down the road toward me. Feeling a little exposed outside the zoo and alone, but not too much like I will blow away, I step back from the sidewalk. And the car takes the curves too fast, and I step back even more, concealing myself in the trees. I recognize the car from the zoo, even though the car and the driver are a blur as they pass. The rear license plate is personalized. ZOOMNGR. Zoomonger. Zoo manager. Frank Bixley.